Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mark Billets. I'm WAV's Senior Sales Engineer. That means I answer lots of questions and try to find solutions for people. Small plug for WAV's engineering group. We're great. If you haven't used this, try us. Okay? So this is kind of a unique opportunity for me because I get to facilitate and ask these guys questions. A lot of times what happens is I'll get a call from one of WAV's sales guys and they'll go, Mark, can you get on a call with this guy? He wants to know about CBRS and he wants to know about LTE, and it's like, okay, I'll do it. There's so much to learn. Is there anybody in this room that thinks they know everything they need to know about 365, CBRS, LTE? If you think you do, raise your hand.
We got an open seat.
Is there anybody here that kind of knows a little bit, but they don't know it all, and it's kind of confusing? If that's anybody out here, raise your hand. Okay. So for once, I get to facilitate, and these guys get to answer the questions instead of me being in the hot seat. So this isn't a fireside chat, it's these guys in the fire chat.
Firing line chat.
Firing line chat. So, I had some questions, and I left that notepad there, but I think we've got a ton of questions. So, the first one we'll ask is, where is CBRS at these days? When are we going to have licenses? What levels are there? Actually, let's go through and introduce everybody here. I forgot to do that, so I'm going to hand the mic down. Go ahead, start.
I'm Sean Lucas. I'm the Director of Product Solution Architecture for Ruckus Networks.
Ben Royer, I'm the Operations Manager for WISP here in Illinois.
Rick Ardish, I'm the Director of WISP Services for MySales.
Derek Underwood, Regional Vice President of North America for Cambium Networks.
Eric Fox, Senior Director of Partner Sales Worldwide for Ruckus.
Okay, so where do we stand, guys, with CBRS and the licensing processes? Are we going to have licenses this year, next year, 2015? Go ahead, if you want to answer.
Yeah, so there are customers that are commercially using 3 band today, and those customers have 50 megahertz of spectrum available. And the SaaS database, which is the authentication database, looking to be brought up in Q4 with Q1 deployments more likely. So until then, it'll be the 50 megahertz that are available today. But if folks have obtained those licenses, they're not issuing more at this point.
So, go ahead, Rick.
So the FCC has not issued the final rules for the CBRS band yet. The SAS is being certified, equipment's starting to get certified. There's still some hurdles to happen yet. But everybody wants to know the final rules, and that still isn't determined yet. So hang on, pay attention to anything CBRS, and you'll find out as soon as the rest of us will.
Yeah, so that's, and what we're talking about there is, again, 3.8, so 3.5 to 3.65. There have been, FCC has certified some of the products in their Type A, Type B products. You're going to see some of that stuff rolling out soon. That's indoor applications only, like we talked about it here. You're going to see some of those things coming. So when we talk about the tiers of CBRS, right, it starts with incumbents, then you have PAL, which is private access licenses, and then GAA. GAA is where most of us, at least for Ruckus, is playing, and some of the other indoor providers are going to be playing. Those PAL licenses, that's 2019, 2020. Right, that's just a guess right now. So PAL's kind of private access licenses, 7 of those per census tract. Census tracts are every 74,000 people or so.
So are we anticipating some GAA license to open up soon?
Imminently, I would hope.
Imminently.
The products are ready to go, like you said.
Okay. So then the other thing that I hear about is this SaaS. What is SaaS?
SaaS stands for Spectrum Access Server. So when you deploy one of these radios, it hits up to the cloud, because everything right now is in the cloud, because we own the license and the GAA, so that's where we're at. And when that device connects up and says, where am I, what's available, right? So the environmental sensing capability says, what's around me? That Spectrum Access Server is going to reply with, this is what's around you based on the GPS data you provided.
Right. So let's see, what else? LTE. So here's a question I get asked all the time.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, they're not really licenses. It's the CBRS band is going to be licensed by right, meaning the SAS database is going to assign you spectrum assignments. They're not yours eternally, and if you stop using your equipment in that location, that spectrum will be made available for somebody else to get that spectrum assignment.
That's exactly right, and that also means there's a possibility you would be sharing spectrum with somebody else.
So here's another question that people ask, and they're going, what's so special with LTE? What makes that different than anything else that I could deploy for fixed wireless broadband?
Well, I think for fixed wireless broadband, some of the discussions we've had earlier throughout the day is that it does have some propagation advantages. You have standards-based, the standards body that's actually deploying or that's developing new features and functionality. But just to be clear, the 3 gig band is not limited to LTE protocol products. So in fact, the SAS, we have our own solution for communicating with the SAS and authenticating devices that are non-LTE. And so that's just to be clear on that. But it is important. I think there is some value in an LTE-based solution, particularly when it comes to propagation and non-line of sight in outdoor space.
Yeah, on the indoor side, as we all know, 2, 4, and 5 are fairly just stuffed full of traffic, so this opens up more opportunity for new traffic.
So I'll put Ben on the hot seat for a minute. So you have some LTE deployed?
We don't, but we have a lot of 3 gig deployed. So we were a product of the Motorola, then Cambium 320 early days. So we still have a lot of that out there. So we see LTE being the next kind of iteration of what the 320 gave us, the WiMAX product gave us, as far as penetration and getting through some difficult areas. So we're looking heavily at LTE in the 3 gig band, but we also have some of the other 3 gig deployment too with the 450. So.
Okay, so the 3 gig is, for you, it's about penetration in a quiet band.
Yes, yeah, it's a combination. Because I mean, in our area at least, so we're central Illinois, a lot of trees, mostly flat, a lot of trees. You know, we came from the canopy days of 900, and we could just throw it up everywhere and go through everything and be fine. But as everyone knows, those limitations. But now we're starting to see smart meters come into that realm. So you have to get out of that band to be able to offer you know, higher speed services, but also get through certain obstacles. So I think 3 gig is going to be our best option. And also 2.5 is another one that, you know, some people in the LTE world are playing with. We don't have access to 2.5, so that kind of leaves us handcuffed to 3 gig.
Good.
Now, going back to the last question, one of the advantages to LTE, or a couple of advantages, is Wi-Fi devices were designed for indoor environments. They've been used in outdoor environments for years, almost 20 years now, or more than 20. LTE was designed for outdoor use. Does that mean it can't be used indoors? Absolutely not. But it does give you a 7 dB advantage over Wi-Fi devices. Another big advantage of LTE is if you are calling yourself LTE, you are 3GPP compliant, meaning you're interoperable with other manufacturers' equipment. So you don't have to, you have a favorite CPE and a favorite base station, they should be interoperable. And if they're not, then that manufacturer may not be 3GPP compliant.
Well, to address actually both of the last questions with really the same thing, right? As technologists and as advocates for you and the channel, this is about building your toolbox, right? LTE gives you another way to solve your customers' problems, whether it be with better battery life, better range, right? It's not going to be better throughput, but it's going to give you options. It's going to give you ways to solve problems that maybe you didn't have before. That's important. It's going to give you better security. It's going to give you, private ability to do things like video cameras, deploying IoT. There's so many different things that IoT or that LTE brings to the table that you didn't have before in those indoor and occasionally outdoor
Yeah, I think you get back to what you do with video and voice, and LTE does a much better job moving the video and voice around than Wi-Fi, so you can improve the customer experience that way as well.
Okay, so next question is indoor, and I hear about shared hosts going back to the carriers. So I can understand my iPhone has a chipset in it that talks in that frequency. Can anybody elaborate on how that works? Where you would have 365 in the building, and then it would go back to your carrier. And how would Wave's customers generate revenue on that? Can anybody elaborate a little bit?
Okay, sounds like that's a question for me. Okay, so what he's talking about is traffic traversing the evolved packet core, right? So that's when it comes back up to us, and that is configured through our cloud. That's in our particular case. Every vendor is going to be a little different, but the EPC is the part that handles that. That evolved packet core is where you enter your information based on your relationship with the carrier. Now, again, this is us specific. I'm not stumping for us, but in our case, we have a couple of partners that we can hook you up with that can help you write those agreements with AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, whoever it may be. And based on you, your customer, the amount of data you're going to be pushing, the number of clients that you're going to be pushing, that's going to affect how much money you're going to make on that individual customer, that individual account, that individual site. But at the end of the day, it's your cloud, your interface, and your private LTE network.
Well, the benefit of that being private is now you control all of that data flow within the building. So rather than carriers having that information, you can keep it for the business and use it to their benefit before you're transitioning out of the network.
Right. And again, this is an LTE band, right? It's band 48. So if you walk into the building, you're on band 4 or 7, whatever. That's a roam, right? It's just like any other RSSI-based roam, but it's an LTE-based roam, so that traffic's not going to drop. That's just one more benefit to having LTE in the building in a neutral host scenario.
Excellent. So, do you guys think LTE is going to replace Wi-Fi? Is Wi-Fi going away?
I don't. I mean, I think that everything complements everything. If you, as an operator, if you're advising an operator, are in this industry and you think that one thing is your solve-all, you're hurting yourself and the industry. I think that you need to have a good understanding of how all the different technologies work and where their application is. I think you kind of spoke to that a little bit. We operate on just about every technology that's been. We've experienced, have had experience with it. With the exception of LTE as our next generation. So if I was still using what I thought was the future, we'd still be using Cisco AeroNet,
Right.
2.4 gear, and I don't think we'd be as successful as we are today. So.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's replacing at all. I think we're talking, particularly we talk about CBRS, this band is used for a lot of different applications. I mean, up here you've got folks that are talking about completely different, one in-building coverage versus outdoor fixed access for rural deployments. So the band itself has a lot of flexibility and a lot of benefit. It's also a big chunk of spectrum, but the Wi-Fi protocol is not going away. I think for in terms of indoor coverage and access to a client device, it's got long-term viability, and there's a tremendous amount of momentum and innovation being developed in the 8 to 11 space as well.
I tend to agree. I mean, I represent an LTE manufacturer, but first and foremost, I was a WISP a long time ago, and I definitely don't think Wi-Fi is going away anytime soon. LTE is just going to be another tool in the tool chest.
Yeah, the APs we're deploying today are going to obviously include Wi-Fi and the option for CBRS, as well as other things like Zigbee or Bluetooth.
So my 2 cents would be, of course I don't disagree with these guys because they're all right, so that would make me wrong if I disagree with them. However, Wi-Fi is evolving. It's not going away. It's changing, right? Look at OFDMA versus OFDM, right? So when that changes, that brings things to Wi-Fi that weren't there before. So we talk about the AX standard, right? That's actually going to change how Wi-Fi operates and things you can do with it. You'll be able to do voice over Wi-Fi better than you ever could before because of the better use of the sub-carrier. So is Wi-Fi going anywhere? Hell no, it's not. Wi-Fi is evolving and Wi-Fi is getting better to be a better part of your tool chest to use alongside things like LTE.
One more thing I want to add that too. We're really just talking about different means of delivery, right? We're talking about how we deliver internet to people. Anybody in here still offer dial-up service? One, two? Yeah, so we just shut our dial-up boxes off last year. If that gives you any idea of, delivery systems going away anytime soon. Believe it or not, we still had customers, and we had to literally practically pay them to get off of our dial-up. We offered them free installs and free, months worth of service. We're like, just get off our boxes. And finally they did. So if you think about it in that scale, the dial-up's just now going away, some people still offering it. I mean, that should tell you something about the, future of our industry and Wi-Fi and where it's going to be.
Excellent. So here's another question, and this is one that just was posed to me. Do you see indoor CBRS replacing DAS distributed antenna systems for cellular coverage indoors?
That's me, man. Sorry, so in this particular case, absolutely not, because there's certain, but in some cases, yes. Right, so when we talk about that middle 10 billion, actually 58 billion square feet that we talked about, that's a lot of opportunity where DAS was just way too expensive. So as an option in your toolbox, oh yeah, it's going to replace it. In your really, really large installations, DAS may still have vinyl. And I think what you might see is hybrid networks out there where in some cases DAS, offers a little more flexibility. More bands, for example, because remember CBRS is band 48 only. DAS can do more than that. But DAS is limited in some cases to voice and not data. So you're going to need both in these really big installations. But that 50 billion square feet that I talked about in the middle yesterday, yeah, that's going to replace DAS there, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, and I think just to add to that, I think it depends on the complexity of the install, and of course, you're now having an option to offer more than one solution to your client. So if they decide they still want to go with DAS, then they're set there. But if they can't do the DAS or they have, for whatever reason, don't want to go that route, you've got another alternative for them.
So that's a potential revenue opportunity for you guys. All of this comes around with Ruckus and other manufacturers to offer that indoors instead of a DAS system. Okay, audience questions. There's got to be some questions out there. Rabbit.
Anyone?
There's a couple hands out.
Ooh, Mr. Bechtold. Oh, got a lot of hands. Go first.
DAS, I think in some cases, offer public safety type of solution as well. Will this band 38 be utilized by public safety?
48, and to my knowledge, not right now. I've actually had a few questions on public safety. I floated them out to some of our engineers while we were here, and right now that's not a focus for us.
And what about utilizing this in schools where there's a revenue opportunity? Are the schools able to take that revenue opportunity, or is the service provider going to have to, in other words, bringing in cellular through that band 40 or whatever you call it?
So the end user opportunity, if they buy the network and they create the teaming agreement that has nothing to do with you, that would be an opportunity for them, absolutely. But today, when I'm talking to you, when I come out to see resellers like yourself, especially managed service providers like yourselves, I want to focus on the revenue opportunity for you. Is it impossible for an end user customer to do that? No, it's not. They can write that teaming agreement the same way you can and do that. But you're offering it as a service, and I want to make sure you know that opportunity is yours.
So are the carriers going to want to negotiate agreements with every one of those school systems or whatever? No, they're not going to. And I think there's a huge opportunity for a brokerage type company, which sounds like Ruckus might be doing some of that. And there will probably be others as well.
Yeah, quite a few. I've got 4 right now. Just when I cursory asking, I got 4 of those brokers he's talking about, because you're right, the carriers are not going to do that. They already don't.
Okay, who else?
My phone knows how to get on the LTE carrier network. How do I tell my phone to get on my home LTE since I've switched off my Wi-Fi?
So the question he asked was, my phone is on the carrier-based network, and I've entered a different network. In this case, he said home, but I've entered a different network that has LTE band 48. So every device reacts to RF pretty much the same way, right? It's RSSI based, it looks at signals, and it has a roaming aggressiveness threshold. LTE does the same thing that Wi-Fi does. If I see a better network with better connectivity, I'm going to make that leap if I can still maintain this connectivity. So if you, let's say you're an AT&T customer, you walk into this building has, you know, an AT&T other band 48 network available with better signal, it's going to make the jump. You don't tell it to make the jump, it does it. Right, just like you don't tell your phone to roam between R access points or Cambium access points or Arrowhead access points, seamless roaming. And that seamless roaming is necessary to maintain call integrity and quality. So if I were to give you a way for you to tell us, okay, you make that jump, it would just be a real pain in your neck. Sorry, you know what I was going to say.
Donkey. Is there anything that we know of in the ruling yet? Whether there's guaranteed to be any GAA frequencies available in any area?
Yes, there will be a minimum of 70 megahertz available for GAA. Yeah, so it'll go from the current 3.6 band is 50 megahertz. So at a minimum, there's going to be an additional 20 megahertz. And that could be dependent. There could be an additional spectrum available if, in fact, there aren't PALs that are acquired in certain census tracts. So, and those rules are still a little gray.
And the biggest thing that's going to affect that will be incumbents, like the Navy. If you're on the coastline, right, that's going to drastically reduce the amount of spectrum that's available to you, just like Derek was saying. But that will be the biggest thing. More than the PALs will be incumbents. So government installations, Navy, that sort of thing.
We'll stay at the table here. Indoor LTE, is private network connectivity going to be possible? The two things I see customers saying to me would be, hey, I have these devices, like I have these iPhones, I have some Apple on them, my people are using them. I don't actually want to put a data plan on. Can I run them on my own network? You know, on top of the Spectrum 48 or Band 48.
Sure. So that's one of the primary use cases we talked about. It's called private LTE. And in the private LTE space, that's absolutely possible, and I fully expect to see, because I've seen data for handsets that are made just for that purpose, for private LTE networks. So two different types, right? Neutral host, where you're working with carriers, devices that can leave, like your cell phones today, or a different type of device entirely, intercom, handset, walkie-talkie, or maybe even something that has the capability of being a cell phone but doesn't have a data plan. But without a SIM, most of those devices aren't going to work in the first place. So I don't think your personal cell phone is going to work out for you very well, but there will be devices that do just that. So when you think about healthcare, when you think about warehousing, when you think about different applications, which kind of could be industrial IoT, if you want to talk about it that way, those devices that are used for two-way communication go securely, reliably, lower battery life, 4 times the distance for data, 11 times the distance for voice. So a lot less EVs deployed in the same connectivity that you talk about.
Thanks.
That was a lot of syllables, oh boy.
It works.
I love it. Anybody else? I'm standing in the back of the room like.
We got one up front, Zach.
I'll get it. I'll get it, Zach.
No air, no planes in the back.
Just last question for me is, I've had WiMAX, White Space, and a couple others that kind of blew up, fizzled, after a couple years, and we're all out replacing equipment. Is CBRS going to take hold and stay?
It's a damn good question.
So I think the better question is LTE going to stay? LTE stands for long-term evolution. We've had 2G, 3G, 4G, now we're talking about 5G. It's going to continue to evolve. They're going to continue to use LTE. CBRS is just one segment of that. You have lots of different bands that are LTE bands. A lot of them are licensed bands that the cellular operators use. CBRS is one that is going to be open to anyone. You talk about private use and private LTE. Anyone can apply for GAA spectrum assignment through the SAS database. You put up a radio and tell it to coordinate with the SAS database, you could get a spectrum assignment. It could be in your house for that matter.
Yeah, I think when you talk about WiMAX as an example, you're reaching, out into rural areas and very expensive radios to deploy. And for us, when we think about Wi-Fi, what was so successful is low cost to deploy, very congested areas, LTEs staying, so naturally adopting that. Our radios that we've designed, the first generations, they're not, the expense comparatively given the coverage, they're in the same ballpark. So you're going to be able to deploy these in situations alongside Wi-Fi that already exists and start to offer that service. And it's a service that's heavily adopted today in the market. So I think it's got a lot of runway ahead of it.
It's also had quicker adoption from mobile operators, which is really where the volume is. And I think that that's where when you have that type of adoption, there's momentum. The cost of equipment is going to come down. It's different than WiMAX. It feels different than WiMAX from a manufacturer standpoint because we were heavily involved in that space as well.
I think Sean made the point yesterday as well, just about the alliance and the fact that there's products already coming out and the fact that the carriers want this to be successful given the challenges on their towers I talked about yesterday, so much data and the race to the bottom on free data, being able to push more and more of it to the local networks will help offload their problems.
And the last thing I would add on that is, from what I've seen personally, the devices have support before we have APs. So that's new, that's different, right? WiMAX was again a push down from the tower down to the clients. This is clients up to the tower. This is clients up to us. So for me, I think that makes a significant difference. The other reason I think this is different is the FCC, when they started this whole push, the FCC commissioner said, that tired notion that you have to have licensed band to accomplish certain things, and only certain things can be an unlicensed band. That's a thing of the past. So they're trying to open up segments, and yeah, they can make it unlicensed for everybody. There has to be some control, which is what the SABS is for, is to provide that control. The FCC is behind opening up sections of spectrum to make sure that we can accomplish the tasks as a people that we need to, and start solving bigger problems like broadband equity, security, and quality of service inside the building to do some of these higher level type things. That alone is going to make sure this technology survives. And again, I agree with Mark, that's a LTE thing.
If you think about it, spectrum allocations historically have been very, very inefficient. The cellular operators have bought huge geographical units of spectrum and have been very wasteful with it, especially out in the rural areas. What the SAS is going to do is, really it's going to be the most efficient allocation method of spectrum that's ever been devised. Will it work perfectly? Well, we hope so. We don't know that. But if you think about it, you can have LTE in this building. It's not going to go outside this building. So you can have different channel assignments in this building than what you have outside. If you have sectors on a tower that are set to go out 2 miles, that's all that allocation needs to be given for. So your competition or another operator could be using the spectrum right next to you. You understand what I mean? Without a cellular operator getting a big chunk of it. One of the things that, questions or comments that I hear our operators talk about is, how far does LTE go? Well, I want the industry to realize that, yeah, it has capabilities to go 15, 20 miles. But when the SAS takes over, if you've got customers out there 15, 20 miles, and all of a sudden the SAS tells you that you can only broadcast at 3/4 of a watt or something like that, you may suddenly lose some of those customers real far out. So you need to start thinking about focusing on smaller and smaller cells. And really you're getting more capacity with your base stations closer to the customers, and your customers will have a better experience.